Easter is a holiday celebrated around the world. Made to commemorate the resurrection of Jesus Christ, there is obviously a ton of religious influence in the celebrations. But a lot of the things associated with Easter don't seem to have anything to do with religion. The Easter Bunny, Easter egg hunts, dyeing eggs, they don't really have any Christian or Catholic religious ties. So where did they come from? Why are they such staples in a holiday that seemingly has nothing to do with them? Hi, hello everyone, welcome back. Today we are going to be looking into the origins of some popular Easter traditions. Man, that is hard to say, Easter traditions. With Easter coming up this Sunday, there are bunnies, eggs, and candy everywhere, so it's kind of hard to not think about it. And I grew up in a religious household, so we celebrate Easter every year. My grandma would have a little Easter basket full of treats for me as a kid, and after church we would have an Easter egg hunt at home. But I always wondered what eggs and rabbits had to do with the holiday. I mean, it's supposed to be about zombie Jesus, so where did the eggs and rabbits come from? And that's what we're going to be talking about this week, because I just talk about whatever I want on here. But let's get started. If you don't know what Easter is, it is a religious holiday celebrating the resurrection of Jesus Christ 3 days after his death. It doesn't have a fixed date, but it happens on the first Sunday following the full moon that falls on or after the spring equinox. A little bit complicated, but it's just like near the end of March. Traditions and symbols vary depending on person, family, or church, but the ones I'm going to be focusing on in this video are the Easter Bunny, dyeing eggs, and Easter egg hunts. Now, there really isn't a solid time in history when Easter became a thing. At its core, Easter is just a celebration of spring, and celebrations of spring have been around since forever, as long as there have been seasons. But like the Christian Catholic Easter probably became a thing around the mid-2nd century, but celebrations existed well before their influence. There's a concept called religious syncretism, which I hope I'm pronouncing that right, but I'm too lazy to look up how to actually pronounce it. But it's when one religious influence gets introduced to another, and their beliefs and traditions blend together, which is what happened with a lot of Easter traditions. When Christianity moved into different areas of the world and started to influence the people, the traditions of the native peoples would get adapted into the church as to not upset the locals. Most of the time, the church marks different beliefs and traditions as pagan and bad and bans them. But nobody likes it when a random person comes in and tells them that something they've done for ages or something in their culture is wrong and forces them not to do it anymore. So a lot of the times, church comes in, tries to ban a bunch of stuff, the people don't like it, obviously, and resist, sometimes violently. And so to keep things calm, the church adapts the traditions as their own. Now, this isn't always what happens or how it happens. I mean, just look at history, you can see that. But this is just an overgeneralization and simplification of the concept of religious syncretism and like the history of it and stuff. That's also just my interpretation of it. I don't know if your interpretation will be any different, but yeah, that's all just my way of thinking about it. So this takes us to common Easter traditions and motifs today, and what parts of the world they came from. Let's start with the face of Easter, the Easter Bunny. Rabbits themselves are associated with Easter because they are a common symbol of spring and new life throughout many different cultures. But the Easter Bunny, who hides candy-filled eggs for children to find, comes from Germany. German celebrations of hares and eggs can be linked back to the 13th century, and probably have been going on since well before that. But in most stories, the Easter hare was a bird that the Germanic goddess Ostra turned into a hare, and as a thank you, the hare laid colored eggs for her festival. In some areas, the Easter hare played a Santa Claus role and would judge whether the children were good or not, and if they were good, the hare would bring treats for them on Easter. The Easter egg hunt dates back to Germany too, and there are two different traditions that could have gotten molded together to what we now know as Easter egg hunts. The first one is the German tradition of hunting for pretzels. It's the same concept of Easter egg hunts but with pretzels, which sounds amazing because I love pretzels, so I would have loved this as a kid. The second tradition involves the Easter hare. So if you remember, the hare lays eggs because it was once a bird. So children would make nests for the Easter hare and put them in a quiet place for the rabbit to lay its eggs in. So these two traditions, pretzel hunts and making nests for an egg-laying rabbit, could have been mushed together into what we now know as Easter egg hunts. Now, I personally think that pretzel hunts and making nests for egg-laying rabbits sound like the most fun things a child could do. And I'm really disappointed that both of those got combined together into Easter egg hunts because, in my opinion, Easter egg hunts are kind of boring. It saddens me that those two fun traditions got mushed into a kind of boring one, but I get it. Having two separate things to do as a parent on a holiday is kind of exhausting. Having to hide pretzels and put stuff into your kid's rabbit nest, that's a lot of work. So I get why they got mushed into one, but still very disappointed in the state of humanity right now. For obvious reasons, but also for the reasons that we don't make nests for egg-laying rabbits anymore. But what about dyeing eggs? Where did that come from? Why did some people look at an egg and be like, you know what? That should be a different color. Well, I couldn't figure out exactly where it came from, but there are two possible places. The first is from, again, Germany. In the legend of the Easter hare, it laid colored eggs, so it makes sense that there would be a tradition where you would dye eggs. The other place the tradition could have come from is Ukraine. In Ukraine, there is the practice of pianski. I think I'm pronouncing that right. This one I did look up the pronunciation on, and I can't read it and say it at the same time. The letters don't look right to me, so I can't make the sounds. If I'm pronouncing it wrong, sorry, there's nothing I can do about it. My brain and my mouth are really bad at communicating, and they've been going to counseling for it, but honestly, I think they need a better counselor because something's not working. But pisanki is next level egg decorating. The designs are so intricate, and you would decorate the eggs with certain symbols to give them magic to ward off evil spirits and bring in good harvests. The pisanki eggs were like talismans, but they were banned when Christianity started to have influence in the country around the 10th century. But eventually it got adapted into the religion because, like I said earlier, people don't like it when you tell them that they're not allowed to do something anymore. The practice almost disappeared again when the Soviet Union took over Ukraine and banned it, but thankfully the practice is still around today and it is still very pretty. They use wax to mark off certain areas and then dye the egg a ton of times and get all these pretty colors. It's honestly really impressive. I want to try it, but I know I would lose patience so fast, so I'll live vicariously through all of the videos of people who do it on the internet. So I'm very glad that the practice is still around. It would have been very sad if such a cool art form just disappeared. Easter is full of traditions that hold such deep history into different groups of people, but some people demonize them simply because they have pagan origins. But in reality, it's just something fun for kids to do and to celebrate the end of winter. I mean, take it from me, I live up north, and winters suck. I like winter, but winters still suck. So there's a reason there's a holiday for every month of winter. There's a reason there's Christmas, and then New Year's, and then Valentine's Day, and then St. Patrick's Day, and then Easter. It's to keep all of that winter blues at bay and seasonal depression and stuff. So if you're super hard pressed and you take away everything pagan about Easter, you wouldn't really have Easter anymore. I mean, there aren't any dates to when Jesus died and was resurrected, so Easter could be celebrated at any other time of the year. You could celebrate it in August. It would still be Easter. But because of the influence of other cultures, Easter is celebrated in the spring after the spring equinox. It is one of the many celebrations of the changing of seasons that has been happening since the beginning of time. It just has a different name to it now. Whether you're religious or not, Easter is supposed to be fun. So enjoy a family dinner, or get some treats and watch your favorite show, or hang out with friends. I'm personally waiting for all of the Easter candy to get discounted. That's the real celebration. I don't dye eggs or hunt for candy anymore, so I have to have something to do other than wear earplugs to drown out the sound of chewing around the dinner table. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I really enjoy looking into the origins of holidays and stuff, so I definitely want to do more of these. It's always fun to see where traditions come from, and it's a nice way to appreciate the history of people before us. Anyways, thank you again for watching. I hope you have a great Easter and find a way to celebrate or have fun, regardless of your beliefs. And I will see you in the next video, whenever that next video is. Bye bye!